What is up, everybody? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. It is NFL Week 17. It is time for more anytime touchdowns. We're going to go through every game on the slate, starting with Christmas and going all the way through the Monday night game. I'll be momentarily joined by Sean Koerner and Gilles Gallant, and we'll give out all of our touchdowns. If you want to tail some of these bets, look for the quick slip link in the podcast video description or go to actionnetwork.com. Before we get into these touchdowns, I'll toss it over to myself for a word from our sponsor. The Action Network podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. And in partnership with DraftKings, our listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. To get started, use promo code Action Network when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code Action Network when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. All right. It's Christmas Day slate. Koerner, what's going on? Your guy, George Pickens, came through for you last week. He is first up here on the Christmas slate. Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Commanders. You going back to him or going somewhere else?
I am absolutely going right back to George Pickens. He's my pick for the Cowboys here. Like you mentioned, he had a massive 7-catch, 130 yards touchdown game last week. Again, the Cowboys, unfortunately, they're eliminated, but he still has a ton to play for these last couple of weeks. He's playing for that massive contract he's expected to sign in the offseason. So I think he's going to keep it rolling here. Plus, both Ryan Flournoy and Kevontae Turpin are both banged up and iffy. So, this is a shorter week. One or two of those guys might miss, which just could be a boost to Pickens specifically. So love getting him here. Anything plus money, really. And he looks like he's around plus 115, plus 125 here. And then for the Commander side, I'm going to have to go with Treylon Burks at plus 440. He was just a first round pick a few years ago by the Titans, and they had to move on from him because, he's missed so much time due to injury, but, the talent's probably still there for him. And he's been stepping up for the Commanders, who've, they lost Noah Brown to the IR. Jalen Lane, the rookie, just suffered an injury that he's now placed on IR. So I think Burks is going to be out there a ton in this game. And he made, a highlight reel touchdown catch a few weeks ago. So I think he's also a sneaky bet here to score at plus 440. Even though, we don't even know who the quarterback for the Commanders is going to be. But this is, obviously more of a bet on talent with Burks.
Yeah, no, I like Burks a lot as well. I had like 85, 90% route participation rate in that last matchup. Joe, what's going on? We got the Detroit Lions going to Minnesota, take on the Vikings here. Vikings keep just going through it with these quarterback injuries. We'll see what happens there. But who are you looking at in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown to start off. I think he should have scored last week versus the Steelers. The Vikings, they're going to play a lot of zone, highest rate of 2 high safety. He leads the Lions by a large margin in targets per route run against those coverages. Also, they blitz a lot. Like Goff has just been actually pretty good against the blitz this year. 9 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Raybon, you actually mentioned this last week on the pod. The Vikings haven't allowed a tight end or a wide receiver to score on them over the last 6 games. The last time was against Detroit. So that's who I'm going to take as Amon-Ra St. Brown. On the Vikings side, I'm going to go with Jordan Addison again. I know it's yucky with Max Brosmer at quarterback, but Lions, they've allowed 20 touchdowns to wide receivers this year, bottom 8 versus the deep ball. I think that applies to Addison here in this spot. He could be lying for some jet sweeps near the goal line. I think they're going to probably be in a trailing game script. So I want wide receivers with upside that could score even just on one throw. So Jordan Addison, he's around plus 270. That's who I like on the Vikings side.
All right, last matchup on the docket on Christmas. The Denver Broncos going to Kansas City to Arrowhead, which will be no more in a couple years. The Chiefs just signed that new stadium deal. But for the Chiefs, oh, man, I don't know if I've given this guy out all year, but it's pretty much the only guy I think has a chance to score in this game for the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco at plus 440. I finally started to get more work the last couple of weeks. I am a little bit concerned about Kareem Hunt kind of popping back up. He does have some contract incentives there, so we'll see. But last week, I mean, if you just look at the expected touchdowns, Pacheco was really the only guy that had a shot here. He's at plus 440. And then for the Broncos, Bo Nix, plus 470. The Chiefs have been giving up a ton of rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks, still playing man coverage defense at a pretty high rate. So Bo Nix, I think, has a good shot to get in the end zone for the Denver Broncos. Let's give out a Christmas Day touchdown score parlay presented by DraftKings. We'll each give out our favorite touchdown score on the Christmas Day slate. Sean Koerner, I'll start with you. Who you got?
I'm going to stick with George Pickens here. Came through for me last week, and again, he's playing for that big offseason contract, so I'll stick with Pickens here.
Joe?
Amon-Ra St. Brown, got to go with the sun god here. I think right now, especially when we're getting him at plus odds, it's a very good matchup for him, so I'm going to take him for the second leg.
All right, so we do like a little bit of a longer shot, so I'm going to actually go with Koerner, your Treylon Burks pick. Love that one. I think it's interesting that the Commanders last week, even though they were down, they got a couple of rushing scores. I think usually you expect teams to pass in those situations. You might have Josh Johnson here, so he'd be airing it out a little bit more than these running quarterbacks that they've been having. So I'll go Burks at plus 440. And you parlay Pickens, Amon-Ra, and Treylon Burks, and you get odds of about 24-1 on DraftKings. That was our favorite Christmas Day touchdown parlay presented by DraftKings for week 17. The crown is yours. All right, we got Saturday football. It's late in the year. You know what that means. Koerner, Texans at Chargers, rematch of that playoff matchup last year. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jaden Higgins here at plus 480 for the Texans. He's actually seeing his playing time creep up the last couple of games. He's averaging closer to like a 65% routes run rate, which was what I was hoping for. But his target rate has plummeted, back-to-back games now. He's seen a sub 10% target rate, so that hasn't been ideal. But I'm assuming his playing time stays the same, and we see his target rate jump back up here. So I think this is still a good time to invest in him. And anytime you have a guy that's, around plus 400, plus 500, that doesn't score in a few games, I don't think that means you need to just write him off and not go back to the well. If anything, now is probably the time to buy low on, the second round rookie. So I'm going to go with Higgins here at, around plus 480. And then on the Chargers side, I'm just going to go with Marion Hampton. Looks like he's around, plus 130 right now. This is a tougher matchup, but similar to Ashton Genty last week, who I took, he scored 2 touchdowns against the Texans last week. So why not stick with the rookie running back facing them? But Kamani Vidal is looking iffy. Right now he's day to day, but just the fact that this game is Saturday means he does have one less day to get ready for the game. So there's a chance he misses, and I don't think this is being priced, as if Vidal's missing. So I think there is some value here locking Hampton in, closer to plus 130 before we do find out, if Vidal's playing or not. So I'm going to go with Hampton here.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Vidal is going to miss a little bit of time there with the neck injury. So, yeah, I think Hampton will be the lead back. Joe, we got Ravens at Packers. Lamar Jackson looking iffy for that one. Who do we like in Ravens-Packers?
Yeah, so on the Packers side, it might even be more iffier because I'm not sure if Jordan Love is going to play either, given the concussion issue and just, again, the short week. So whether if it's Malik Willis or even Clayton Tune, I want short-range targets with high routes run rate, and that's Luke Musgrave right now. He's the last tight end standing. Our guy, John Fitzpatrick, now out for the year, unfortunately. Josh Wiley's dealing with an injury. And I feel like at least if you're betting Musgrave, like you're getting a guy where there's not a lot of position uncertainty, like with all the moving parts with Packers wide receivers, it's really hard to pinpoint who has like the best matchup, best value in that spot. Whereas at least, Musgrave, he is the guy, a tight end one, you're getting plus 400 or better. It's hard to pass on that. And then on the Ravens side, Mark Andrews is right now 5-1. Now, a lot of this might hinge on if Lamar Jackson does play this week, but I'm okay with this pick, even if Snoop Huntley gets the start, because The Packers, they play zone at the second highest rate. They're top 5 in limiting explosive plays. Well, Andrews still, he's running the highest red zone routes run rate for all Ravens tight ends. He leads the team with 4 receiving touchdowns. And not quite a revenge game, but I guess I would call it more of a redemption game after just that brutal fumble last week. So Mark Andrews at 5-1, Luke Musgrave at 4-1.
Yeah, the Packers, it's crazy. I mean, these guys just keep dropping like flies. Like, this team looks so good to start the year, even going into the playoffs, and now it's just like, man, everybody. Sunday, let's start it off with the Seattle Seahawks at the Carolina Panthers. For Seattle, now it's pretty simple. It's Jackson Smith, Najigba, this week, every week. I mean, he's just probably been the best receiver in football this year, going up against the Panthers. And for the Panthers, Jalen Coker at plus 360. I like him in this spot. He's been coming on a little stronger as of late. The Seahawks, tough team to score on, especially for running back. So don't feel as confident about guys like Dowdle and Chuba in this spot. Tet's coming off the big game. So let's go with Coker here at plus 360. Koerner, we got the divisional matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. It's in Indianapolis, so this means I guess it's maybe a little bit more winnable for them. Who do we like in this one?
Yeah, I'm going with 2 receivers in this game. So for the Jaguars, I'm going to go with Parker Washington, right around plus 250. But he continues to produce when healthy this year. Been a really nice surprise, in my opinion, all season long. Even with Tim Patrick playing well, Washington managed to reclaim that full-time role. So he had, 70% routes run rate last week. Patrick was all the way down to 18%. So I expect that playing time to stay the same because, Washington went off for 6 catches, 145 yards and a touchdown. And, the market probably is, finally wising up to him. But, Trevor Lawrence is playing so well right now, and Washington specifically is playing so well. I'm going to stick with him here. Against, this Colts defense just allowed 5 touchdowns to Brock Purdy last night. So I want to invest in Washington here. And then I'm going to take Alec Pierce at plus 300. I cashed on him a few times earlier this year. Last night, for some reason, I faded his receiving yards. That was a big mistake. So I'm never doing that again. So I'm just going to take him here because, we saw Rivers is much more willing to just throw downfield, specifically to Pierce. Last night. So, he's always worth a flyer when it comes to his upside. And I guess that first touchdown on that free play, that offsides call to Pierce was actually the first free play touchdown in Rivers, 20-year career or whatever, which was insane to me. So I think he's going to continue to look Pierce's way because anytime you threw to him, good things happened last night. So I like getting Pierce here at plus 300.
Yeah, I thought Rivers looked a lot better. I mean, all things considered, just the defense did not show up for the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints, the Tennessee Titans coming off a rare win for Tennessee. I like who you're going with on the Titans. This is my guy here. Who do you like?
Yeah, Kamire Dike. We've given him out quite a few times on this show. 6 touchdowns this year, 4 receiving, 2 in the return game, leads the team in red zone targets, and has actually scored 4 touchdowns over the last 5 games. And Raybon, you can clearly see a point in the season where his role took off, and it's right after Brian Callahan got fired. Because since week 8, he's seen his snap rate go up, target rate go up, ADOT all increase, and all of his touchdowns have been scored with Callahan gone. And the Titans, they always seem to scheme something up for him each week. And the Saints special teams, they're not anything special. So he could definitely get a return touchdown on that front. Now, this might be the last time we get a chance to bet on him in a Saints uniform. I'm taking Taysom Hill. I think this is a great matchup. He's around plus 280. Titans run defense, one of the worst in the NFL. 19 rushing touchdowns allowed, 4 touchdowns allowed to quarterbacks. Hill actually saw a season-high 12 carries last week versus the Panthers. 2 were in the red zone. 1 was a designed run play near the goal line, and he audibled through it to Chris Olave instead. So I just think also the development of Tyler Shuck. I think the Saints, he's looked pretty good over the last few weeks. I think they're going to want to protect him, not let him take some of those design scrambles. 2 games left, mostly meaningless. If he's the quarterback of the future, they're going to let Taysom take the carries close to the goal line. So I'm going to take Taysom Hill at plus 280.
Nah, man. Tyler Shuck is like what did Saquon call Daniel Jones? Vanilla Vic. That's Tyler Shuck. That's Tyler Shuck out there, man. Yeah, no, DK. I mean, I think it started in week 1. I believe they schemed something up for him. So Callan was trying. He's just a terrible coach, and it didn't work out. But yeah, no, they've loved him all year long. So yeah, love him. He's one of those few guys on the Titans that has scored a touchdown this year.
Yeah, him and Gunnar Helm. Those are the two.
yeah, those rookies looking good. But ask the Chiefs about that Titan run defense, man. They were mad when Hunt got tackled for that safety, man. Everyone's yelling at each other, man. Ugly out there. But all right, Cardinals going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. For the Bengals, rolling with T. Higgins here. I mean, this guy just scores every single week when he's on the field. Joe Burrow is just looking a lot better throwing the football. And for the Cardinals, let's go with Trey McBride. You know, he has been a monster this year, finally scoring touchdowns. And in this matchup, I mean, it's the Bengals. It's tailor-made for Trey McBride, the best tight end going up against the best tight end matchup. So Higgins, McBride, Cardinals, Bengals. We got the Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Speaking of ugly, Koerner, there maybe will be points scored in this matchup. Who we got?
Yeah, I think this is one of two games where I don't even think there's touchdowns priced out for it yet. But I'm gonna go with Pat Freiermuth here. I think he's gonna be overlooked because you have DK Metcalf suspended, Calvin Austin's banged up. This wide receiver room is an absolute mess. And I think Kenneth Gainwell. I think the market's aware of how good he is right now. So I'm expecting his odds to be much lower this week. So I think Muth is the sneaky play here. Because he's sort of the de facto wide receiver in this heavy 3-way tight end committee, so I think his usage specifically could get the biggest increase if Metcalf's out, and especially Calvin Austin as well. And Muth hasn't scored in 4 straight games, so I think now would be a good time to buy low. And then on the Brown side, this is so easy. I feel like Raybon, if you had this game, you'd go with this guy too. But it's
Rocket.
Raheem Rocket Sanders, baby. Quinshon Judkins, unfortunately suffered that leg injury where he's, out for the season. And Dylan Sampson's questionable. Not even sure if he's suiting up this week. But I think either way, Sanders should be the lead back here, especially, the goal line back. So he makes sense as kind of like a Judkins replacement. He's, 6 feet tall, 230. He's a big boy. And Trayvon Williams is more of the pass catching back. So is kind of, Sampson's kind of a pass catching back. So Sanders was actually, you've mentioned this, Raybon, he was the Browns' first touchdown scorer of the season all the way back in week 1. So, last week was just the second game he's played all season. So I think, whatever his odds are, I think he's going to be overlooked here and is definitely, where I want to go for the Browns here.
What are the odds Jaylen Warren runs for a 45-yard touchdown?
For the fourth
he did
one
it twice.
yeah.
It was just nuts.
Against this Browns run defense currently probably pretty good, right?
Yeah, they've fallen off, man. I mean, they started the year pretty good, but oh man. What do we got next? The Jets hosting the New England Patriots, coming off a big win. Gilles, who in Jets, Pat looks like Brady Cook getting another start.
I know. And with that, I think we have to go back to AD Mitchell. It doesn't inspire confidence, but also at the same time, you're getting around plus 360 odds for a wide receiver 1. So they're massive underdogs. They're probably going to be throwing a lot. The only touchdown he has thrown this year, it's been to Mitchell. Since Mitchell has come to the Jets, he's running the most routes, has the highest targets per route run, 7 end zone targets, 12 deep targets. So the Patriots, surprisingly, are last in defensive DVOA against wide receiver 1s. They've allowed 16 touchdowns to wide receivers. So AD Mitchell, we'll go with him. And Hunter Henry on the Patriots side. 6 touchdowns this year. Austin Hooper's his routes run rate is just completely dropping off in the second half. And it's a great matchup against the Jets. 7 touchdowns allowed this year by that defense. They're 28th in defensive DVOA. So considering he's first on the Patriots in red zone snap rate, red zone target rate, 4 receiving touchdowns, I think that's the guy you want. So Hunter Henry at plus 175, AD Mitchell plus 360.
Yeah, and Patriots got all those wide receivers, so it kind of plays well for Henry because they'll go more 1-1 in the red zone, and he's the biggest target really on that on the team in that case. So yeah, he's a good touchdown bet. Got a matchup of the Florida teams with the Bucs at the Miami Dolphins. If we'll see if Theo Wease is active again. I feel like I'd probably pivot to him. Tried to get him in the end zone at long odds last week. Didn't quite work out, but he did get a bunch of catches, so on the right track. But for the Dolphins, we're going to go with Jalen Waddle for now, plus 190. He's been their top receiver ever since Tyreek Hill went down. It looks like they're going to stick with Ewers here. Didn't have all of that bad of a game against Cincinnati, all things considered. The efficiency was there, just turned it over. But if he gets it in the end zone, I think Waddle's a good bet for an explosive. This Buccaneers defense, I mean, Todd Bowles could yell all he wants, but it's just not been good for the better half of 2 months now. And for the Bucs, rolling with Chris Godwin here. Usually not my favorite Bucs receiver. It's usually Mike Evans, but I mean, he's down to even money. That's kind of where he probably should be. I mean, he scores in over half of Baker's games. Never a bad bet, but Godwin's at plus 350, and his expected touchdown rate, not as high as Evans, but still second highest on the team since Evans came back and joined Ibuka and McMillan there. And so, Godwin's still kind of that number 2 receiver, at least in practice for the Bucs in terms of the usage. So I like him at long odds here at plus 350. Man, there's some ugly matchups on this slate. Kern, I feel like you're always assigned them too. So I got the I almost want to skip over this game, but Giants Raiders.
Well, I had that Genty call that.
There we go.
I don't mind getting these awful
not ugly
games.
at all, man. I mean, it turned out beautifully.
I don't mind getting these ugly games. It's priced in. But I'll start off with an ugly one here. Isaiah Hodgins. Looks like he's, around 6-1 again. I went 6-6 last week. None of my bets were close. None of the wins, none of the losses. Isaiah Hodgins over 12.5 receiving yards. Not even close. He didn't get I don't even think he got a target.
Oh, he's cardio kinging it. He's not cardio king this week?
No. It was not? Isaiah Bond who actually had 20 hilarious stuff. For the next pod,
0 catches, 0 targets, 21 yards. Hodgins was close. I think he had like 19 or something.
The cardio king actually had 20 yards. Anyways, that's for next pod. But okay, so this entire Giants offense, no matter who you took, they didn't score a touchdown last week. Dart only threw for 33 yards. I think a lot of that probably had to do with the high winds. But it was a rough showing from the Giants offense, but Hodgins was still out there, around 80% of the snaps. So that was my original cap last week. I think he's going to be very sneaky here because, he didn't do anything last week. So I'm going to stick with my guy Hodgins here at 6-1. On the other side, Genty is now, looks like he's minus 110. So, not going to go with him here. I'm going to go with their second round rookie, Zach Besh at, right around plus 450 here. But he continues to see, an increase in playing time, usage to close out the season, which makes a ton of sense. But Tyler Lockett got banged up. So, Besh's usage could go up even more here. And he's, a solid rookie. He kind of profiles as like a smaller tight end. So it's kind of surprising he hasn't scored yet. So I think now's a good time to kind of buy low on him. So I'll take, the rookie here, Besh at plus 450.
Yeah, and is it really that surprising he hasn't scored? How many touchdowns do the Raiders have this year?
Sucks. This offense. Let's face it, that's why he hasn't scored. But,
oh my god,
he's better than that.
I mean, I want to say, who was it? Shedrick Jackson scored for the Raiders a couple weeks ago. He's not even on the roster, so maybe Besh will get that touchdown. Yeah. We got a good game, Gilles. Eagles at Buffalo Bills could be a Super Bowl preview. I hate to say it because the Eagles, they started off slow, but they're steady. They're steady here and trying to right the offense. Who do we like for Eagles Bills?
All right. Well, I got a chalky one and a long shot. Jalen Hurts to me, I think, is a little chalky, but again, when you're getting him at plus 145 in a kind of pivotal matchup like this, like we have to take him. 8 rushing touchdowns this year, has scored 10 or more in every season except for his rookie year. The Bills' run defense have allowed the most touchdowns, or rushing touchdowns rather, in the NFL at 24. And I go back to that matchup when they played in Philly a couple years ago. Obviously, different teams, different personnel, but you look at the odds for what Jalen Hurts was to score in that game. He was like minus 130. He ran for 2 touchdowns. And I just think, given the stakes of this game with both teams playing like they're actually going to try all the way front to back. So if you can get Jalen Hurts at these kind of odds in a game like that, that's when you want to take him. On the Bills side, Ty Johnson is who kind of immediately stuck out to me because right now the spread is the Bills home favorites, but I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think the Eagles, at least on a neutral, would be favored over the Bills in my opinion. And if that's the case, I think that what's going to happen is the Bills are going to be in a trailing game script, and that's when you want Ty Johnson because, like we've talked about this, like Koerner, you brought this up. When the Bills are leading by a lot, that's when you want Ray Davis. When they're trailing, you want Ty Johnson. I think they're going to be trailing. So Ty, typically used in those kind of games. 27 targets this year for Ty Johnson, a lot of downfield targets. That's only 5 less targets than James Cook. And this Eagles run defense, Raybon, I'm not sure if you noticed, starting to kind of trend down as the season has gone on. 12 rushing touchdowns allowed now, 4 passing touchdowns to running backs. So I think as long as we don't see full playoff Josh Allen where he just vultures all the touchdowns around the goal line, I think Ty Johnson at plus 550 is who we want. So Ty Johnson and Jalen Hurts.
I'm just disappointed you're not playing Bills wide receiver roulette here with who's going to be the
well, because you'll play Keon Coleman. Yeah, you'll play Keon Coleman and you just get a void bet basically by the time you get to kickoff at this point. So, and then I'm not sure I really love the odds on guys like Khalil Shakir or Josh Palmer. We tried to go down the road of Josh Palmer last week. I think he only ended up with 2 targets. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's tight ends and backs and Josh Allen for the Bills. All right. Before we continue, don't forget to sign up for Action Pro for real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Koerner, Gilles Gallant, myself, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Koerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with promo code POD20. That's POD20. Don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Just visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 for $20 off a year of Action Pro. All right, finish it off. Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. We'll start with Sunday night. Good matchup. Bears at San Francisco 49ers. Bears were a team I bet to win the division before the season started, so I'm happy with what they're doing here.
Nice.
Koerner, we're each going to give a touchdown bet out for this one. So who do you like for the Bears-Niners matchup here?
Well, I'm going to have to go with my guy Luther Burden III here. Looks like he's around plus 260. He didn't even practice at all last week with the ankle injury. They did list him as day-to-day, so that was kind of weird. So assuming he does suit up here, I got to invest in who I think is going to be a stud in this league for years to come. They're facing a Niners defense that let, Phillip Rivers throw all over them last night. So I'm going to go with Burden here, but if he ends up getting ruled out, I'd probably pivot to Colson Loveland. But either way, love Burden the rest of the way, if and when he does suit up.
Yeah, I was just happy to see my guy, Janae Walker, finally get in the end zone last week for the Bears.
Yeah.
He was so good in the preseason. I was wondering when they were going to start playing him. But Jill, who do we like in Niners, Bears?
Well, it would be Jake Tongas. I mean, really, I actually like George Kittle. But right now, George Kittle coming off of that ankle injury last night against the Colts, it's kind of a 50-50 proposition if he's going to play. So right now, if Kittle does play, that's who I like to score in this game. But if not, then the 1-for-1 replacement that we saw earlier this year was Jake Tongas. And he scored 3 of his 4 touchdowns in games without George Kittle. So that's who I would look at right now. Jake Tongas is priced around plus 250 and Kittle's around plus 120 right now. So I like Kittle if he's playing, but if not, then we pivot to Tongas.
I'm going to roll with we'll stay with these Niner pass catchers. I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings here.
Yeah.
This guy, 7 touchdowns now in his last 7 games, scored in 6 out of the 7, had a multi-touchdown game. Him and Brock Purdy are just, really on the same page. in the red zone. And Jennings was always kind of a late down, third down kind of receiver, money down guy anyway. So it's no surprise he's balling out in the red zone. So we're going to go with him here. He could obviously benefit too if Kittle is banged up. You parlay Luther Burden III, Jake Tongas, and Juwan Jennings on DraftKings, and you get 25-1 odds. If Kittle does come back, the odds would be a little shorter. It'd be about 16-1. Still like that, though. Three very talented players if you get Kittle back. If not, Tongas has proven to be able to fill that role earlier in the year. So 25-1 for that one. Monday Night Football, Rams at Atlanta Falcons. I think I know where you're going, Koerner.
Yeah, Blake Corum. I've been high on him ever since the Rams drafted him last year. I still think he's clearly the best backup in the league right now. Ranks third in success rate. Kyron ranks first. But he's been mixing in a lot more of late, making this more of, like a 50-50 committee at times as, the Rams try to keep Kyron fresh for potentially a long playoff run. Or, they might even keep this 50-50 split in the playoffs since, both backs are playing so well. But Corum has, 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. And this is a game at Atlanta where, the Rams could win pretty easily and just lean on the run a ton here, specifically Corum. So I love Corum's upside in this spot. So, yeah, give me Corum here in a game where he could see, 10 to 15 touches.
Oh, yeah. No, McVay's loving this split. I think that probably continues in the playoffs at this point. Yeah. I mean, how can you take him off the field? Gilles, who do you like in Falcons, Rams?
A guy in your realm for fantasy who might actually be living up to his promise. Kyle Pitts, 4 touchdowns now over the last 2 games. I did not think that he was going to score coming off of that 3 touchdown game. If I could think of anybody that I was going to fade, it was going to be Kyle Pitts. But now with Cousins under center, they always had that chemistry, but it was just kind of, always been Drake London that's still getting the majority of red zone targets. That's kind of shifted over the last month, and you're seeing his target rate go completely up. He's got like almost 40 targets over the last 4 games. So with that in mind, I think right now, given the Darnell Mooney kind of regressing as well in this offense, I think Kyle Pitts is the guy we want, especially when you can get him around plus 250.
I'm going to actually take your angle, Joe. Like the guy who hasn't scored, I like to take those guys. So I'm going to roll with Drake London here. He hasn't scored in a couple games, but remember in the prior 2 games, he had 4 combined touchdowns. Yep. So this is still a guy who's going to be on the field a ton, and they might be playing with the trailing game script quite a bit here. So still like London, and Pitts is finally, going to take some of that pressure off him. I think it's really good for the Falcons long term if they can kind of get both of these guys going like this. We'll see though. Pitt's a free agent, but either way, we got Pitts, we got London, and we got Corum. Parlay those together at DraftKings, 33-1 odds. That is our Monday night. Yeah, pretty good, right? Monday Night Football, especially for 3 guys who are good bets to get in the end zone. All right, we're gonna add these anytime touchdown as parlays to the Parlay Express account in the Action Network app. So because we got 2 guys for each game, so go follow Parlay Express if you haven't already on the Action app and have some fun with us on some of these longer shot parlays. And while you're looking at Parlay Express in the Action app, be sure to sign up for Action Pro. It's the only way for you to get real-time pick alerts from the Action experts and get the best bets at the best prices. You can also find quick slip links for these bets in the podcast and video description, or you can visit actionnetwork.com/bet. Now that's going to do it for our week 17 touchdown show presented by DraftKings. Many thanks to Sean Koerner and Gilles Gallant. If you haven't yet, check out our new AI quick slip bot on X. Just tag @playbook and tell it to grab whatever bets you're looking for, and it'll create a quick slip link for you in a matter of seconds. Don't forget to subscribe to the pod. Don't miss an episode. And you can find Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. Jill is at GDawg5000, GDAWG5000. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the Action app. Happy holidays. Let's get this money. Let's give this money.